Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Sergi, and this is the ninth module of my self-help kit on the happy life. This is the audio-visual component of Module 9. For more detail, you could read the script version of this module from Michael's website. The title of this module is Reevaluation Based on Social Comparison. Let me repeat, reevaluation based on social comparison. So what is reevaluation based on social comparison? One can reevaluate oneself in ways to increase positive affect, meaning feelings or positive emotions, or decrease negative affect in a particular life domain. In this module, the focus will be on manipulating expectancies based on social comparisons. I will describe how this strategy works and explain how people experience subjective well-being guided by, by the self-enhancement motive. But there are other motives that we need to consider, like the self-improvement motive and self-identification motives. But again, these will be described in the script version of this module. So the only difference between this strategy, which is reevaluation based on social comparison, and the other reevaluation strategies as discussed in the previous two modules, which are reevaluation based on personal history and then reevaluation based on the self-concept, um, is the use of the significant others. Again, the use of significant others as a different standard uh, for reevaluating the life domain. Um, So this type of evaluation is commonly known in social psychology as social comparison. So we'll use Jay's leisure life as described in the last two modules as an example. Remember, Jay is satisfied with his family life, somewhat dissatisfied with his work life, and very dissatisfied with his leisure life. So again, the strategy is how can he reevaluate, events in his leisure life so that he would increase the positive affect, positive feelings embedded in this domain. So remember, again, Jay feels very dissatisfied with his leisure life. So this is because he had to spend his summer vacation with his in-laws. He does not get along with his in-laws, and he did it to please his wife. He now reevaluates his leisure life by comparing his last vacation at his in-laws with his neighbor's last vacation. His neighbors are Tim and Caroline, a nice couple in their 60s with no children. Tim and Caroline went on a cruise to Alaska last August. This was supposed to be their 30th wedding anniversary. They were looking forward to a wonderful vacation, but the vacation turned into a disaster. The cruise ship ran into an iceberg, which damaged part of the ship. It was almost like the Titanic. People had to be evacuated from the ship by raft boats. Tim suffered a stroke while he was being evacuated. Now he's recovering from that stroke. The damage was severe, and the doctor told his wife, Caroline, um, that again, it could have been fatal. The end result was that the vacation was an utter disaster. So Jay compares his family vacation with Tim's and Caroline's. He feels somewhat blessed that his vacation was uneventful. At least there were no disasters, and he and his family enjoyed themselves a little, despite the in laws. So much research on subjective well-being suggests that social comparison plays an important role in life satisfaction. For example, much research has focused on the role of comparison gap between oneself and others among college students and on its effect on life satisfaction and happiness. The social comparison measure was based on asking students how they compared to other students. The main finding of the research is that the social comparison gap was one of the strongest correlates of life satisfaction and happiness. Upward social comparison, and let me repeat again, upward social comparison, which is a comparison of oneself with another who is better off, tends to generate dissatisfaction, whereas downward comparison, and let me repeat, downward comparison, which is a comparison between oneself with another who is worse off, generates satisfaction. Similarly, the research revealed a significant social comparison effect in a variety of life domains. The social comparison effect was a significant predictor of satisfaction with health, religion, education, and recreation in every nation studied. So, going back to the example of Jay spending the vacation at his in-laws, and he's comparing his situation, his vacation, with again his neighbors who went on this Alaska cruise and turned out to be a disaster. This is what we call again a downward downward social comparison. So now, in other words, he's comparing himself against or in relation to, again, a significant others, meaning his neighbors, who were worse off than the event that he's essentially evaluating, and that is spending that vacation with his in-laws. So we can translate this discussion into a principle, and we call it, again, the principle of social comparison. Satisfaction in a life domain can be increased and dissatisfaction decreased by evaluating life events in that domain to similar others, for example, relatives, friends, neighbors, professional associates, colleagues, people of the same age, same sex, same race or ethnic background, same handicap, same home place, or possibly same social class. Upward comparison generate negative affect, while downward comparison produce positive affect. That's the gist of that principle. So based on the principle of social comparison, the following advice is in order. Feelings of satisfaction or dissatisfaction may be determined by how we compare ourselves to others. When we compare ourselves to those who have more, we feel bad. When we compare ourselves to those who have less, we feel grateful. So the advice is don't compare yourself to others if you can help it. But if you do, compare yourself with others who are less fortunate. Again, let me repeat, this is downward social comparison. Compare yourself with others who are less fortunate. Doing so would make you feel comfortable with who you are and what you have. And this in turn will help increase satisfaction in that domain. In the case of the example that we use, it would be leisure life, and satisfaction increases in that domain is likely to spill over again into other life domains and ultimately in a sort of a bottom up spillover, which should increase your life satisfaction or happiness. Okay, on that note, I will stop and I will see you in the context of the next module. Bye now.